Hi everyone, my name is Emmaleen Muldoon with Emmalene's Astrology, and I'm here today with Dorothy Taylor from the Soul of Chiron. We thought we'd get together and do a quick video on the weekly astrology aspects for what's coming up. So today is the 20th of May, and we're going to run through until the 27th of May. We're hoping to keep this video quite short, well under 30 minutes, so you can just get an idea of what's coming up for the week ahead and how to work with that energy. We're going to go through some of the big changes because we've got planets moving signs this week. When a planet moves signs, we feel it, it's a big week. So we're going to go through and talk about some of those planetary changes, a bit about the moon. We're going to touch again on the Mercury Retrograde because that's still in full swing. And of course, we still are feeling the effects of the eclipse. So there's a busy week.
It is. We have several planets moving signs. The sun will move into Gemini. Mercury will actually trade places with the sun and move back into Taurus. And later in the month, not this week, but later in the month, we'll have a sign change of both. Does Mars change signs this week?
Mars is
Mars
24th.
enters on the 24th. Mars enters Aries.
Yeah.
Then at the end of the month, Venus will move into Taurus.
Yeah.
So a lot of Taurus activity, especially with the retrograde of Mercury going back in there. He's already traveled through Taurus, and now he's gone ahead a little bit, and now he's backing back up to Taurus to see what, to help us figure out what it was we missed the first time he went through Taurus.
So I think the sun's going into Gemini. Is it tomorrow? What's it? Yes.
Yeah, the 20th.
20th. Oh, later today, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So this is always a big one. So we're getting, when the sun moves signs, obviously the sun takes a month to go through each house of our chart. So when it moves signs, we feel that energy. We feel the shift of the season. I feel like it's not a season because it's not 3 months, but it's like that energy for the next few weeks of the sun being in that sign. And the sun being in Gemini, I think we're all going to feel more chatty. I always think of when we're in Gemini, it's time for socializing, talking. Be careful not to gossip though. Don't take it too far, with the Gemini energy. But using our minds more, we might start reading a book if we haven't read for a while. We might. It's a good time to be crunching numbers. Thinking about math and that kind of thing. So having the sun shining there in Gemini for the next 4 weeks really just illuminates our mind.
And for getting in touch with people, like talking to your relatives, people that you're close to in your environment, spending time in your local environment. It is also with the Mercury retrograde happening in Gemini. There might be a chance of starting to communicate with somebody from your past, or rethinking something that you already thought you knew well, changing your perceptions about relationships or people in your life.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Dorothy. Like with the Mercury retrograde, we can often get our ghosts come back. People from the past can pop up. Sometimes, literally, if they haven't popped up, if you haven't heard from them by text, email, messenger, you can sometimes actually have them come into your dreams sometimes.
So we are doing this while Alistair is home. We thought that would be fun. He can enjoy this with us. One of the other things is sun focusing, being in Taurus. We were more focused on the value of things, safety and security, and how we ground our resources, the resources we had. With Mercury going through there before, we were thinking about that too. And then Mercury moved ahead. Now the sun and Mercury are going to change places, and Mercury is going to go back into Taurus. So we're going to be thinking about those same things, but just in a different way, more as a review or a reevaluating of the resources that we have. Did we underestimate a resource? Did we overestimate a resource? That sort of thing. And Uranus is still in there, so we could have some surprises. Uranus has a large field of influence. So even though the Mercury is only going to go back to around 26 degrees, he's going to touch on that node or close to that node within 3 degrees of the node and 1 degree of the previous total lunar eclipse.
That's really important.
Right. So some of that stuff might come back up. You may not be completely finished with the eclipse experience yet. As a matter of fact, it can go on for 6 months. Not counting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this eclipse was a big one. I mean, the wipeout effect, I think, from it, you know, the ending, the Scorpio, I think it very much felt like we are, I mean, just a draining energy. Just people I know, my, you know, clients, friends, everyone felt sort of wiped out by this eclipse. So yeah, you expect maybe this week to see maybe a repeat of what was going on that day on the eclipse. It might come up again, but then of course, yeah, the theme is going to continue on for the next 6 months anyway. So
with Mercury retrograde, the first time he went through there, you got some information. The second time he comes close to there, you're going to be reevaluating that information. And so the third time that information comes up, or that particular topic or that friend comes up, you're going to know, you've got experience with that topic or that experience. So you're going to know more better how to handle it. You're going to know more better how to handle it.
Yeah, that's very true.
I was channeling Alistair there, more better.
Yeah, that's really true actually, because you're going to get with Mercury going with retrograde, people always panic, don't they, and say, oh my goodness, you know, this is a terrible time. But what you're doing is you're actually going back over and finding out what you need to find out, so when it comes back again, you might be better equipped to handle the situation because you've got more information now.
And this particular solar eclipse and lunar eclipse this time in Taurus and Scorpio involved Uranus. The first one was closer to Uranus than so the new moon eclipse was closer to Uranus than the full moon eclipse, but they both happened on either side of Uranus, and so surprises were, you could almost expect for something to come out of the blue.
Oh yeah.
And we always need to rethink an emotional adjustment when things happen out of the blue.
Yeah, that's true. Very good advice. Should we talk about Mars?
Well, let me bring up the quarter moon first.
Oh yeah, let's do the quarter moon.
Right now we are on this chart, May 22nd is the third quarter moon. So we're in the final phase of a process that we began a month ago or 3 weeks ago. So the fourth week of a particular process. The quarter moon happens in Pisces. And if you'll notice, it's actually square Mercury here. Can you see this?
I can, yeah, you do.
At the same time that it's square the sun. So there's definitely something that maybe is not out in the open yet, and this third quarter moon is going to help us figure out what the challenge is or what the obstacle is to having all the information we need.
Yeah, and that's on the 22nd of May, isn't it? Yeah.
Right. And then on the 24th.
Oh my goodness, I'm kind of looking forward to this. On the 24th of May, we have Mars going into Aries. Now, Mars is joining up with Jupiter, because Jupiter just moved into Aries. So, I mean, this is big Aries energy. Look, if you have your chart and you know where Aries is in your chart, this area is going to be busy for you right now. This house is going to be busy. You can probably already feel it because there's been a lot of Aries energy anyway, I think, over the last sort of couple of months. But now that these guys are pairing up to go through, we're going to see a lot of action. a lot of energy, a lot of good luck coming towards that Aries part of your chart. Now, Mars loves being in Aries. Mars is the warrior, Aries is the warrior. They're both working together. So use this energy of Mars going through Aries to sort of push on with what you need to do, because it's going to give you that drive. It's going to make us feel like if we've been daydreamy, if we've been feeling like you're creating or thinking about what you want to do, now is more of the time for putting in the action for what you want to do.
And that is one expression of Jupiter and Mars together in Aries. So I'm going to give you the other side of it.
Yes, there is another side.
And Aries, or Mars does love Aries. But right now we have Jupiter in Aries, the great expander. And Mars is the warrior. So we want, and we also have Venus and Chiron in here at the moment. So it is a very busy sign. Jupiter can expand Mars's need to take action. So on an emotional level, an intellectual level, spiritual level, all of those levels, you can feel this need to expand and to go beyond yourself. And it's really important to remember everything that glitters is not gold. Jupiter gives you this, I can do anything, willing to take chances, and you could have a lot of speeders on the road, watch out for those. You could have a lot of people being overly aggressive or demanding. I was in the grocery store yesterday, and I think it was yesterday, no, the day before, and heard a man literally calling a woman out in the store. Couldn't see him, this is just how loud he was, and he was aggressively addressing her. The entire store stopped, because we know that expanding aggression can affect a large number of people. People in aisles were turning and looking at each other, wondering what they should do. So know that we could have a good amount of aggression. We also have fires in Texas. So another aspect of Jupiter in Aries is that, so Aries energy, the Aries fire energy, it's like the spark of a match. As soon as that goes out, the fire's gone. But with Jupiter in there, it kind of extends that process. So you can have a small thing happen that has big effects. So watch out for those sort of situations. Jupiter can definitely make you feel expanded and bigger than you are. Aries or Mars is known to be aggressive as well as assertive. Measure yourself, take measure of yourself. Am I overstepping my bounds? As an autonomous individual, am I overstepping my bounds? And watch out for doing that, because you're going to meet like with like. So if you're overstepping your bounds into someone else's autonomous world, they are going to overstep their bounds into yours. So keep that energy metered, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it can feel, I think it can feel like there is excessive boundless energy there, but then just with Jupiter, that just says a bit of caution with how far you take that energy, definitely.
But if you're an athlete,
oh yeah, good, yeah.
Run faster, tumble better, swim deeper, longer, yeah. All of these things. Athletics will be breaking records here. Yes. So, and that's a good way. If you're feeling this energy, a good way to burn it off is by physical activity. Go for a walk, maybe an aggressive walk, but go for a walk, swim, run, whatever, play tennis, whatever suits your fancy. But get that energy, use that energy so that it doesn't come out in other ways. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, channeling the energy the way that you want to use it. And just being aware of other people around you. I think we're still in the eclipse season. Like I always tell people when I'm doing my classes, when we're in eclipse season, if someone's cut you up on the road, it happened to me the other day, and I just looked at them and I thought, we're just going to stay calm, because you just don't know what people are dealing with right now. There's a lot that comes up for people during eclipse season, and again, I was talking to someone the other day and she just completely kind of like didn't register, or I think she looked like she blinked me, but I think actually she was just not registering what she was saying or what I was saying. So again, it's just, give people their space because they're processing, they're going through a lot of stuff right now. So if you hear people in the supermarket shouting, just try and step away. You don't want to ignite that flame because it's quite hot at the moment.
And there's a lot of ways to show your autonomous self, your
Yeah.
individuality, and taking the stance with this much energy in Aries of de-escalating rather than escalating is a show of autonomous power and individuality, not reacting in the way that you're being pushed necessarily, but doing the opposite. Both are doing. It's just what it is you're doing that's going to matter. We have several other things happening in the chart. So between what the placement of Saturn, Pluto, Neptune, and Venus, we have a lot of various energy interacting on us, and depending on what is being triggered in your chart, you're going to want to reach for these other items. So if Pluto is having a huge impact on your chart, you're going to want to look to Neptune and Venus to try to figure out what's fair and balanced, because Pluto can be a power control struggle, and kind of bring it back home to you. Pluto square Aries is about the impact of the world, all these massive changes that are happening in the world on us as individuals, and how we respond to that. We also have Chiron and a semi-sextile there with Uranus. And so this can bring actually about, this is a wonderful time for doing things in a new way, for reinventing the wheel with the Mercury Retrograde, with rethinking or changing your perception, looking at things from another perspective to help you overcome challenges. Pluto is asking, what power do you have in the bigger picture? And Venus is saying, as individuals, we are the bigger picture. You have value in the bigger picture. You have the ability to help balance the world out. And so these alignments, we want to reach for what will help us to process the energy more productively. And the chart is offering several things. Like today, there's a power struggle between individual will and this larger will. So this is kind of the story of our environment. We want to figure out how to handle this larger picture in the world. And anybody that's self-aware knows that the balance of power is not okay right now, right? And so this is offering us ways to figure out what we can do to impact that. Mars is going to go into Aries. Mars has been conjunct Neptune, and it is right now in between, almost exactly in between Neptune and Jupiter. One of the things I brought up in my recent post or YouTube was that Jupiter and Mars are in mutual reception. Jupiter actually rules Pisces as well as Neptune, and the traditional rulerships still matter, even though a lot of astrologers don't talk about them. And so Jupiter is beefing up that Aries energy, just ramping it up, while Mars is sitting back there in Pisces going, what do I do with this? There's no way to get a handle on where I am and what I'm doing. So when Mars moves into Aries with Jupiter and Venus, we are going to have a huge amount of influx of individuals taking action, which is great, absolutely great. Just make sure it's the one you intend. Intentions will matter here. Pluto is not good with ill intentions. He wants everything up above board and to divulge secrets. So and I don't mean your secrets personally necessarily, I just mean the secrets of the world. So pay attention to what the intent is and move with that in a way that's productive rather than destructive.
Yeah, that's really good. That's very true, because you know Mars has been hanging out in Pisces. It has been with Neptune, and it's taken on a different energy now. I think Mars, it's just coming to the end of its conjunction. Looking at this chart with Neptune, so you know, going back to when we had Jupiter Neptune in April, and we were having that new beginning somewhere. It might feel like with this Mars coming up to Neptune that what was going on in April has been sort of activated again. It was the 12th of April we had that conjunction. So Mars is now, okay, you have the idea, you were creating it back then, and now we're pushing that into action as well. It's definitely hitting that point.
And you know, the events that happened during the eclipse might have gotten in the way of you taking action in the way you want. Certainly this Mars Neptune energy was getting in the way. When Mars gets into Aries, there's going to be no holding back. But that's why it's so important to know your intentions ahead of time, and you even write them down, so you can refer back to them when you feel like you need to. Write yourself a mantra to put you back in that place where you know your intentions were pure. So Mars has taken on a little bit of the spiritual warrior aspect, which is great. It'll work really well with Jupiter trying to raise awareness of individuals. But you know, this third quarter moon also means that we're in that position where we're kind of putting the final touches on this last 30-day period. This last week is the last 30-day period. So we're kind of putting on the final touches before the new moon, and we start and the new moon is May 30th. So before we start that next leg of the fully move into the Sun and Gemini energy, let's put it.
Yeah. And actually, just thinking about this chart that we've got here, look, you know, the moon is in Pisces, but then on the end of the week, it's the 25th and 26th, the moon is going to be in Aries, up there, hanging out with Jupiter's Mars, by that point, Chiron and Venus. So that's going to be a touchy, emotional couple of days, I think, with the moon making aspect to all those planets in Aries. We're going to feel there's going to be, I think, an intense emotional energy that comes out from those 2 days.
Right. So here's what the energy looks like.
Yeah.
When the moon moves into Aries, and it's just before, and that's on the 24th, just before Mars moves into there.
Yeah.
And so there's some sort of emotional aspect to this experience that we're going to have with Mars moving into Aries. And there, the moon is in between Mars and Jupiter. So that's a very strong, very large emotional day.
Yeah.
And we're all going to be asking ourselves who we are as individuals and how we want to go forward.
It's a good day.
The other thing I want to mention before we close out is we have finally started having planets move to the other side of the polarity of the nodes. Before this month, everything was on it's kind of hard to say, but it was moving towards the North Node. And so we were moving towards something. All of the energy was moving towards something in Taurus. That need for safety and security, to understand our values, maybe a little self-respect, self-confidence, examining our talents, deciding what to share with others, that kind of thing. Well, now we finally have Mercury and the Sun. These are other points that we won't discuss now, but Mercury and the Sun have finally gone over to the other side of the nodes. And although, our focus as individuals and as humanity, a whole generation or a year and a half generation worth of people, the North Node not having everything moving towards the North Node put us in a huge growth period. And now that's going to start stabilizing. Growth can be uncomfortable. Growth can be something that takes us to places that don't feel as if they are anywhere close to our comfort zone. And the South Node is your comfort zone. So now we have a more balanced position or we're moving towards a more balanced position of new and comfort zone energy. So that everything is not about expansion and growth and change and transformation. It can start having a more settled, or at least somewhat achievable aspect where you get some rest.
Yeah, that's true. It's been a very one-sided chart for a long time. The only one that's been popping out has been the moon, isn't it, when it comes around? So babies being born, in the next few months, there'll be a different energy to the ones that have been born with this one-sided, or the planets on one side. So it's gonna be a definite shift. That's a good point.
Yeah, and there was what was that, about a 6-month period where all of the planets except the moon were over here, and so the kids that were born in the last 6 months have all of that energy over there. And not that not having energy in the other houses means you don't have those, access to that energy. What it means is that it's very focused. Your energy is very focused in an area, and when things trigger that area in your chart, either by opposition, square, transit,
Conjunction,
trine, conjunction, any of those things, or anywhere around the chart, it's going to have a larger impact on all of the energy that you were born with. So for the last 6 months, any babies born in the last 6 months are going to have this huge amount of energy and concentration of energy, which really just shows you how powerful they are as individuals and what they will be bringing into the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's always interesting when you get a person that has these huge stelliums, or a chart that's one-sided. When you're doing a reading, there's so much to go and talk about and work through.
And these will be stelliums.
Oh yeah.
And those, well, actually for the last 6 months, all the way from Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, and Taurus. So all of those stelliums that have been moving through there. And the planets haven't separated enough yet. The faster moving planets haven't separated enough yet for us to feel like we would not have a stellium in, you get my southern accent there, stellium in other signs, but it's going to start sparsing out more evenly. And so when that happens, we all feel more relaxed and comfortable.
Yeah, we're definitely charged up at the moment. We've had all this Pisces time of dreaming. Now this Aries time of action. So it's been exhausting. So
that might be quite a shock for us mentally to go from that Pisces energy to the Aries energy. Rather a wake up. It's like waking up.
Yes.
And
but some people might need that. I think some people have been telling me, oh, I don't want to get on with my work. I've got a pile of tasks that I need to get on with, that's gonna, when you get this Aries, you're gonna feel more awake. You're gonna feel like, I need to get on with these good jobs now, with these tasks I have to do. So, you know.
And honestly, I'm looking forward to having more energy. I'm a
Yes.
Pisces myself, and so I kind of need that Mars Aries energy to get my motivation juices, my
Yeah. It
going.
has sometimes felt like when you get the Pisces, it's almost like that summer's day energy of, I just want to lounge around and sit in the sunshine, and I don't know if I want to
Feel the
do that.
flowers or float on the ocean.
Exactly. So yeah, sit by the side of the pool. But now, we're moving away from that a bit, so that's good. We get our energy back. We
Yeah.
get our Mars back.
And Neptune will remain in there until 2023, I believe. So, we still have that ability to go over there and veg out,
Yeah.
and that's nice.
Mhm.
Do watch out for by the way, anything that you have had going will only expand, and people will become aware of it now with Mars moving to a different sign. In Pisces, you could kind of keep things under the shadow. And the reason I bring this up is Pisces is one of the signs for addictive behavior. Drugs and alcohol, that kind of thing. And they've talked about through COVID that there are more alcoholics, more people with mental illness, more drug addicts, and we're having a huge mental health crisis and addiction crisis in this country. And when Mars moves into Aries, there's even going to be more action taken on those things. And people that have been underneath this influence, and that's what this is, are no longer going to be able to hide that they're under this influence. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So I hate to be the heavy, but watch your behavior. I'm telling you, your intent means everything. And numbing ourselves out, which is what we've been describing in Pisces, can be unhelpful to yourself and to the world. So you want to if anything, use this opportunity to motivate yourself into some of the dreams and ideas that you had while you were musing back there in Pisces, and that may be what this Mercury retrograde is about, is finding the nuggets that are of value in that process. I also want you to notice on this day that the moon moves into Aries. Mercury is back in Taurus and is at a trine to Pluto. And so that is going to give us some idea of, so this is, let's just say this is personal resources, personal value systems, and this is the worldly accomplishments, productivity, your ability and your control, your power out in the world. And those two things are having a conversation. Mercury and Pluto. They are the only two planets retrograde right now. And so they want to quietly assess this alignment. They want to quietly share this information. That doesn't mean that it's not powerful. It means that you probably have to be quiet in yourself to hear it, to know what Pluto is saying to you about what resources and what skills and what talents you have that you can use. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. We're going to get some information, some communication coming there from with Pluto. That's a good call.
Most of us do have talents that we've forgotten, even just forgotten about, right? That let's say you want to paint a room and you painted when you were young, right? But it's not until you start doing it that you remember, oh, this is how you do that. And so you bring that talent, whatever you learned from the past, into that. And Pluto can have a lot to do with the past too. So look to your past for information on the present.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wonderful. I think we're about done with the week. A busy week.
Yep, I hope you all enjoyed it. Emmeline and I will both be posting this on our YouTube channels, and I plan to do this once a week. I don't know whether Emmeline and I will do it together, but it's always fun to do it together.
Yeah, it's always fun to partner up. So we'll see. I'm always happy to do this with you, to do our
And,
weekly videos.
and I'm not sure we kept it under 30 minutes, but this is a busy chart.
It was a biggie chart, but we'll try it. We'll get better in future.
Yes, we will with each time. All right. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks,
A
Dorothy.
wonderful week. We'll see you next time. Thank you,
Yeah.
Emily.
Bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.